Ugochi dragged Chisum out and started barbing her hair out of jealousy and made her bald. That wasn't all. Ugochi still went as far as pouring out water and it changed her skin to this. Chisum is a young, beautiful girl from a humble village. Her skin was as smooth as velvet and her long flowing hair shimmered in the sun, drawing the eyes of many suitors. Despite her beauty, she was kind-hearted and loved by everyone around her. But there was one person who could not bear to see her shine. Her stepmother, Ugochi. Ugochi has always been jealous of Chisum since the day she married her father. She could never understand why her own daughter was not as beautiful as Chisum. Nkechi, her daughter, was always overshadowed by the radiant Chisum. It drove her mad. She couldn't bear to see Chisum walk around with men fawning over her, while her own daughter was left in the shadows. Ugochi hated how Chisum's beauty outshone her own, and she vowed to do whatever it took to break the girl. But it wasn't just Ugochi's jealousy that made Chisum's life unbearable. Her younger stepsister, Nkechi, who was always in the shadow of Chisum's beauty, began to resent her as well. The two girls were often forced to live in the same household, but Nkechi's bitterness simmered beneath the surface. Every smile, every compliment Chisum received seemed to pierce through Nkechi's heart like a sharp knife. Nkechi's jealousy was a very wicked one, growing deeper with each passing day. She watched from the sidelines, eagerly waiting for an opportunity to make Chisum suffer the same way their mother had made her feel. One night, after a long day of village work, Chisum fell asleep, unaware of the cruel plan her stepmother had devised for her. Ugochi waited until evening and she went into Chisum's room. She dragged her outside and she started scraping her hair with a very sharp blade. She cut it all off. The villagers that passed shouted, "Nkechi, Nkechi, why are you doing that? Leave her alone." But Nkechi warned them to stay back. "She's my daughter and I can do whatever I want with her." And just like that, Nkechi scraped off all of Chisum's long and healthy hair. Chisum was beyond sad. She couldn't see her hair again. Her hair, which has always been loved by all, was gone. Ugochi stood at the door, watching her with a satisfied look in her eyes. "Let's see if your beauty can still attract suitors without that ridiculous hair of yours," she sneered. Chisum felt humiliated and heartbroken, but she didn't have time to mourn her own loss. She was still determined to hold her head up high. However, the suffering didn't end there. As Chisum went about her daily life, she noticed that Nkechi had begun to taunt her as well. The first time Chisum tried to leave the house, Nkechi grabbed a handful of dirt and threw it at her face, mocking her. "Look at you now," she laughed cruelly. "No hair, no beauty. What man would want you now?" Chisum didn't respond to her stepsister. She kept walking, tears brimming in her eyes, but refusing to fall. Her heart ached, but she refused to show it. She couldn't let the two people who hated her see her break. But even as Nkechi's hair was gone, the men in the village still followed her everywhere, and they ignored Ugochi's daughter. Ugochi's cruelty didn't stop at cutting Chisum's hair. She came up with another wicked plan to destroy Chisum's appearance forever. Because barbing her hair wasn't enough, the men still wanted her. They still chose her over her daughter. One day, Chisum was at the river. She was washing clothes by the river. Ugochi secretly poured hot water over her skin. The scalding liquid burned Chisum's body, leaving deep, painful scars. It was as though Ugochi had made it a mission to make every inch of Chisum's beauty disappear. Chisum screamed in pain. There was no one in the river to help her. There was no one to save her from Ugochi's cruelty. For days, Chisum cried in agony, not just from the physical pain, but from the emotional torment a stepmother put her through. She couldn't understand why someone could hate her so much, especially when she did nothing wrong. Yet, in her heart, she knew she had to endure. Beauty, she realized, wasn't just from the outside, it came from within. The burns on her body were not just physical, they scarred her spirit, and the pain she carried inside her became just as unbearable as the burns on her skin. Every time she caught a glimpse of a reflection in the water, she wanted to scream. But she didn't. She couldn't. She had to hold on to whatever little strength she had left. Her stepmother's cruelty was only matched by the cruel words of her stepsister. Ikechi, with every opportunity, added salt to the wounds. One evening, when Chisum was trying to wash the dishes in the kitchen, Nkechi came in, sneering at her. "You think you are beautiful, don't you?" she mocked. "Look at your scars. Look at your head, Afari Kolondo. It is bald. You'll never be good enough for anyone. You're lucky I'm even letting you live here," Nkechi said to her stepsister, and she laughed out loud. And despite the burns and the hairless head, Chisum refused to let Ugochi win. She still believed in the goodness of her heart, and she knew that her inner strength would carry her through. Chisum turned to the village to make a living, because her stepmother refused to feed her again. Staying in the house only brought her pain and sorrow. She then turned to the village to make a living. With no one to help her, she began hawking goods around the market. She carried baskets of fruit on her head, sold vegetables, and ran errands for anyone who needed help. She smiled through her pain, enduring the whispers behind her back and the cruel remarks from the townsfolk. "Look at the poor girl with no hair. What happened to her?" they would ask. But Chisum would keep walking, proud and strong. Through it all, one thing remained constant: her beauty. Even with her burnt skin and short hair, men still noticed her. They saw past the scars, past the hairless head, and they admired her courage. There was something in her eyes that shone brighter than anything a stepmother could do. But even as Chisum began to rebuild her life and find a way to survive, her suffering continued. She could see the satisfaction in Ugochi's eyes every time she returned home after a long day of work. The woman had broken her body, but she still had not broken her spirit. That was the one thing Ugochi couldn't take away from her. As if Chisum's suffering at the hands of Ugochi wasn't enough, her younger stepsister, Nkechi, added to her misery. Her mother has planted so much hatred in her heart against Chisum. Every chance she got, she would mock Chisum, calling her the ugly one and laughing at the burns that marked her skin. Nkechi, with her flawless complexion and her own beauty, became Ugochi's accomplice in the cruelty she bestowed upon Chisum. She would encourage their mother's wickedness, sometimes even suggesting ways to hurt Chisum further. On more than one occasion, she would pretend to be kind to Chisum, offering to help her with her chores, only to spill something hot on her skin again, sending her into more pain. One day, when Chisum had to carry a heavy load of firewood from the forest, Nkechi watched from a distance, and as soon as Chisum was tired and struggling, instead of helping her, she began to laugh, mocking her. What happened to the beautiful girl who thought she could rule the world? She would tell her, mocking and laughing at her. "Now you are bald and ugly. You are a servant in this house, so work hard, okay?" she would say to her elder sister, never caring of the consequences. Nkechi's words, spoken with such venom, cut deep into Chisum's heart. It's all to know that her own sister, someone who shared her father's blood, could be so cruel. Yet, Chisum knew better than to let the bitterness of her stepsister poison her. She clenched her fists and forced herself to continue reminding herself that she was stronger than all of this thing. One day, as Chisum was passing through the village square, a young prince, disguised as a commoner, noticed her. He had heard so many things about the beautiful girl with the kind heart, but he didn't expect to see someone so radiant despite her apparent misfortune. Chisum caught his attention as she walked through the crowd, gracefully carrying a basket of goods. The prince, whose heart has been closed off from love due to his royal duties, found himself mesmerized by Chisum. He couldn't believe how beautiful she looks. Chisum has always believed that the love would never find her, not with her stepmother's cruelty, haunting her everywhere she goes. But as soon as she looked into the prince's eyes, something told her that perhaps, just perhaps, love could still happen. As Chisum's connection with the prince grew, so did Ugochi's jealousy. She couldn't bear to see her stepdaughter find happiness. She had been the one to keep Chisum down for so long, and the thought of her winning the love of the prince made her blood boil. Ugochi knew that the prince must never marry Chisum, so she devised another wicked plot. One day, as Chisum was returning home from the market, Ugochi locked her in a room. She began to scream at Chisum, accusing her of trying to steal the prince away. "You are not worthy of him, okay?" Ugochi yelled. "You are nothing but a burnt, bald-headed girl, and I will make sure that you stay that way." But Chisum, having suffered so much already, had learned to stand up for herself. "You can destroy my hair, you can burn my skin, but you can never touch my soul," Chisum said with her voice firm. "I am more than what you see." The prince, having fallen deeply in love with Chisum, could no longer stay away. He confronted Ugochi one fateful day, demanding her approval to marry Chisum. Ugochi was so pained. She had always been the one to control her, but now she found herself powerless in the face of the prince's love for Chisum. "You will never have her," she said to the prince. "She's not fit to be a queen. I will never let her rule over me." But the prince, with his heart full of love for Chisum, replied, "Chisum is the most beautiful woman I have ever met. Her beauty is not in her hair or skin. It's in her heart, and that is what I love about her. I have heard of everything you did to her, but I am still willing to forgive you if you give me a hand in marriage. But if you don't, I will be forced to punish you for what you've done to her." Still, Ugochi didn't let Chisum out of the locked room, and she told the prince that she sent her far away to another village. The prince sent his bravest guards to look for Chisum, but they couldn't find her. Years passed, and the prince was still in love with her, but Chisum was nowhere to be found. She was still locked up inside one of the rooms in Ugochi's house, and by this time, Chisum has given up on leaving that room. But then one day, she woke up and saw her late mother in front of her. She was shocked to see her and happy at the same time. She cried and hugged her and told her about how Ugochi has been treating her so unfairly. Her mother comforted her, and the door that has been locked for years opened. Chisum ran out of the house and straight to the palace, and she told the prince of how she has been locked in Ugochi's room for years. The angry prince had his guards arrest Ugochi immediately, and just like that, love triumphed. The prince and Chisum got married, and together they ruled the land with kindness and wisdom. As the years passed, Chisum became a beloved queen. Her story inspired others, and she was known far and wide for her kindness. She had learned that beauty came from within and that true love saw beyond the surface. She had found her prince, and together they ruled with love, peace, and understanding. And as for Ugochi, her bitterness only made her older and more isolated, while Chisum, with her strength and unwavering kindness, flourished. In the end, the stepmother's cruelty had only made Chisum stronger. The end. Thank you so much for watching this story, besties. Tell me the lessons you've learned from this story in the comment section. One thing I've learned is that being bad, being wicked, being mean on purpose is not a good thing, and it will only put you in trouble, and it's not going to earn you anything good here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Please do not forget to like this video. Tell me what you feel about the story in the comment section. If it was you that they cut your hair off like Chisum, what will you do? Will you take that? Let me know in the comment section. And please do not forget to subscribe and tap on the notification bell. Thank you so much, guys, and see you guys on my next story. Bye, guys.